And we're back. And Nico's gone. But hey, welcome back. We just
Yes.
restarted the stream. Hopefully, this time around, you guys will see it. But in the meantime, I will run some. Ah, there. There's Nico.
Okay.
Let me just run some background music. I see people are watching now. Let me share this.
Aha.
Yeah.
Na-release na din
Well,
yung
we have to
copyright.
apologize to the people who were cut off kanina. May kinakalabang kami mga AI na.
Yeah, we're so popular kasi.
Si Ultron kasi pinag-iinitan yung ano no? Yung intro music eh.
Yeah, so we have to change up that intro music and hopefully that should clear up. Let me
Okay.
just reshare with the other groups.
Okay. Where are we? Okay.
Hello Mark. You're finally on Facebook, hindi na sa YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, we this is I think what the second or third episode na nagka-issue tayo,
Yes.
no?
Yes.
And
Yes.
we kept on talking without realizing na pinutol na pala tayo.
We've been cut out. We've been. And then ang masakit kasi doon, pa-flag ka,
Mhm.
tapos right after our show, we'll receive
Yeah.
the note na it was pulled kasi hindi tama yung,
Mhm.
yung flagging. Kaso, you've already lost all
Yep.
of your viewers in the first part. So,
Exactly.
I don't know. But I was just listening to a podcast. This is a common problem for for even the highest influencers. And most of these social media platforms, they don't really need to do anything about it. You just
Mhm.
find your way around it. You know, it's kind of how they thought. Think
Yeah.
about it. So, hindi ko mahanap ng Unpub. Nasaan na si Unpub?
You shared it na. Nakita ko na. You shared it sa...
That's why it's not popping up. Okay, there you go. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
we're
sana
back.
okay na to, guys. All right, cool. So, welcome back. Ron Villaver here of Variable Play. Welcome to LarongAtin. Actually, minadali ko siya, so hindi ko ma-edit pa yung descriptions. Mamaya na yan. Kaya nyo na yan. And yan, we were just talking about the games we played. Nico mentioned that he got decimated. Run over. In the game of Raiders with the expansion. And Sir Friendly is currently talking about Marvel
Crisis Protocol.
Crisis Protocol.
Yeah.
So share to us, sir, what's fun with Marvel Crisis Protocol?
Pretty much basically it's still a plays like a miniature war game na skirmish type, but ang pinakang unique sa kanya is instead of playing one mission, you play two missions because each player gets to choose a mission na both of you have to play. So meron siyang extraction and secure missions at the same time. Na yung extraction is you'll get an object and control it, and the other one is a secure, which means you're trying to secure an area on the map. So you're trying to do two missions at the same time. But what's really interesting about it is even if mechanics wise it's not too unique, yung abilities and powers ng mga characters are very very cinematic. Yun yung I guess yung closest word na masasabi ko kasi it seems that everyone I play it with talagang while they're playing, they're imagining it happening on a movie screen. So,
Mhm.
yun yung pinakang nakakatuwa sa kanya. So people are
Okay.
like playing it like it's a movie, and then you'll see people play acting their characters like yung sila Captain America, yung mga famous lines sila, sasabihin nila like I can do this all day, yung mga ganun, things like that.
Okay. Nice, nice, nice. Cool. I recently got to play this really odd game called. Well, I got to play a few games over the recent game night, but there was this one game that was quite odd. I think the name of the game is Colors. Not really sure, but the idea of the game is para ka nag. So there's I think 4 or 5 color suits, and then you'll be given a hand of 5 cards, and you will be playing 2 cards. Ang goal ng game is hindi umabot yung color suit na yon, to 8 or sorry, 9. So kung 8 lang yung total, kunyari red, 8 lang yung total, magsa-score ngayon yung card na yun. So you get to keep that. Pero do you score after you have played, in essence, parang 4 cards or 5 cards? Para ka nag-poker. Basically, para ka nagpain ng dalawa, pero you're playing a simultaneous poker. May river kayo na idadagdag. So after you play 2 cards, people are gonna be given a new set of additional cards. You complete your 5, and then you add 2, and then add another one. So what players are doing is now parang gauging whether mag-o-over na tong number na to or mukhang score nila, papasakan mo ngayon ng mataas na number para pasag sila lahat. So ang kulit niya kasi it's like a weird stock game. But yun, it was just funny to everyone at the table were not necessarily having fun because it was confusing. It was difficult to find the strategy. I, as the designer, though, was like, "Cool, this is interesting," because you're going like, "Huh." So, how did you balance out the numbers? Why did you decide 1 to 6 lang yung value? Bakit 1 to 6? Laki ng impact agad. May nakita kang 6, parang kailan magsuscore yung 6? Ba't ka pa pumili ng 6? Bakit hindi mo ginawang may 2, dalawang 1? Parang ganun. Parang yun yung agad tumakbo sa utak ko as a designer. Pero the other players did not necessarily have fun because it was confusing. How do you strategize? Like, you have a 6 on your hand. When are you gonna win this card? It's almost impossible because when players might have it on their hand, maybe kung kunyari talagang walang lumabas na yellow and it's the last round, you might be able to win a 6, but it's so by chance. So yun lang yung parang weird sa kanya. They just really went with the numbers. Here's a set of rules, and then that's how you do it. However, I think given a little tweak, para mas naging mas naging hedging style dapat siya naging. So, yeah, that was my odd, not sure if it's 5 colors or 5 colors. I don't know the name.
Ano yung pangalan ulit?
Colors or 5 colors or 5?
5 colors?
You get 5 cards, and then you're practically playing the river. When you play poker, but you're all building a river. You're all building a set of 5 cards, and you're all trying to win as much colors as you can. May isa pa siyang parang wrench. If there are 10 ones in the game, those are the ones that will score and everything else will not score. So, kind of weird trick taking. But I liked it because it was an interesting idea about numbers. Hedging that you guys don't reach. Parang ka nag-lucky 9 or nag-blackjack, They're all playing blackjack simultaneously across all of your hands. Ganun.
Mhm.
So yun. So those are our recent plays, and today's topic is kind of related.
Mhm.
Um, ano ba topic natin? Why are you na-mixed up dun sa ano eh, sa unang mga, we were throwing around different ideas for our topics, but
Mhm.
the our topic for today is more reasons
Mhm.
why you should get. Talaga kinapi-paste ko lang, Nico, yung ano mo eh. Yung
Talaga.
kasi yung U ko dito, U talaga, what letter U eh. You
Oh.
should get into game design.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, um, basically, ano yung mga naging benefits, I think, for us of,
Mhm.
getting into game design, or at least going through, looking through different game designs, getting a game published. What are the
Mhm.
things that you think uh, are reasons why you know people should get into game design? Anong benefit ba nila sa buhay if they're able to
Is
get
I'm
into game
just
design? So sige,
I'm just
Nico,
yeah,
topic.
I'm just checking, are we still online naman, no? Kasi I got a notification on Facebook na nag-comment si Clint, pero parang wala naman akong makita. Oops, what's that? Oops.
Yun yung
Just
una.
checking. Yun yung una. Okay.
Nag-comment siya sa
Yeah.
una.
Naku,
Eh,
na-play
kasi-
mo yung music na. Makakat na tayo ulit.
Oh no! Oh no! Out
We're,
again.
yeah, we're live naman, it says. Okay. I think, baka just to give more,
Nag-drop.
or, we're still here naman, no? I think, okay lang ba if, I think, para lang mas may context on what the topic is about.
Go ahead.
Exactly. Kasi when we talk about game design and we talk about people who are interested in designing games, more often than not, the topic goes into publishing games and into earning money from designing games and from publishing games. And there's nothing wrong with that, of
Make
course.
money
There's
out
nothing
of
wrong with or by like if you make a good game and it gets published and everyone buys it, then good, great, congratulations to you, and you deserve making money from it. But also, it's not the only reason why you should explore, like, just making games, not necessarily as a way of earning income or like as a job, but also like just as a hobby, as a craft, as a creative output, because designing games is very much like other art forms na like you don't artists don't necessarily just draw for the sake of earning as an artist, but just because they like to create something beautiful and they like to express their creativity. So I think that that's kind of the topic, is like, aside from earning when if and when you do from your designs, what are other benefits you get from just enjoying and practicing the craft of game design? Yeah. And if there are any designers here, baka comment niyo din, like, ano ba yung, how has game design improved your life, or like what are, nice things you got from the practice. So yun. Tama naman, no? I mean, we're all in agreement with
Yes.
that's the
Yes.
topic.
Now we are. No, just kidding. No. Tama yan. Lesson number 1 in game design, make sure you're talking about the same thing. You're on the same page.
Yeah. Very
Okay,
true.
thank you, Nico.
Okay.
Do you want to do it like top 5 tips or top 3 tips? Is that how you want to approach it? How many do you have on your
Uh, I have five stuff.
Okay, so I think what we can do, Sir Freddy, is just either add to that 5, and then if there are sort of runner-ups on my end, I would also add them.
Mhm.
So maybe
Mm-hmm.
ganun yung magiging approach na. So Nico, you'll
Okay.
run through your list, and
Uh-huh.
then if ever there are things we would bounce off na lang with you.
Okay. Okay.
All
Sige.
right.
So my number one, well, this is the most basic, and what really inspires most people when they think of like, oh, I want to try and make a game. I think it's just the create. It's just designing games as an outlet for your own creativity. Yun, there are lots of people like to do creative things just for their own fun and their own just do I have to explain why people create stuff? I mean, they people just like to explore their own creativity. So some people like to paint. Some people like to like play sports or write and make films and stuff like that. And other people like to design these interactive experiences that we call games. And it kind of usually starts as you play the game and then you're like, wow, the games are so cool, I want to you know create that same experience for another person. And when you actually put make a game, and after a long time of play testing and honing it, and it's finally something that's actually fun, and when you bring it out and you let your friends and family play it, and you can see the smiles on their faces, it's really a very priceless and rewarding experience.
Mhm.
That Yeah, that you're just creating just the raw fun of creating something. Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Mhm.
just like how you would express yourself in playing music, in
Mhm.
creating artwork, or cooking,
Yeah.
creating great dishes. You know, you cook over the weekend a special dish. You spend
Mhm.
16 hours preparing for it. Your intention, your audience is just a limited set, right?
Mhm.
However, the enjoyment and the value that you're able to give is something priceless. I think it would hit the same with game design. If you're able to convey the experience that you want to let your friends and family experience through your game design,
Mhm.
then it's an outlet for your creativity. It's not necessarily something that has to work 100% right away. As
Mhm.
long as they had fun, and you're able to exercise that over time, just like in cooking or in music,
Mhm.
you know, it will taste better.
Mhm. Mhm.
Agree.
Yeah. And the nice thing about like this very basic level of creativity is that it's because once you're into the game design level of publishing and printing your game and making it final, and letting complete strangers play and judge it, there's a level of it gets a lot more tense, a lot more um you really there's a lot more pressure to make something
Mhm.
that's really great.
Hmm.
But when you're starting out and you're just playing with your friends and family, and I know people who design games, really they have no intention of publishing. It's just like, "Ah, I wanna expand this game I already created," or that whole feel. It's just raw creativity, and yeah, there's without the pressure, and just enjoying it with people, yeah, with
Mhm.
friends and family.
Yeah, yeah, agree. I mean, um, if I'm not mistaken, it's si Will, the guy, the Filipino designer who did for Northwood. So nabaha we interviewed him, di ba, before, and nabaha yung kanyang bahay. So yung mga board games niya nawala. So, gusto niya maglaro eh. Wala siyang board
Mm.
games. So, and at that time, so parang nangyari, nagkaroon lang siya talaga ng creative outlet. Nakita niya, oh, maybe I can design games na lang using ano lang meron ako dito sa bahay was just playing cards, but he wanted to play modern games, so he studied and tried, all of these other design frameworks are revolving around these 52 cards, and
Mhm.
did that for a year, and didn't realize that he was building a masterpiece in his head. And by the time he tried it out, he played the hell out of it first with family and friends, and just tried every other thing. He had a large arsenal of designs already. So when he tried out for uh, the print and play contest, obviously he won. And most recently nga, even Rado, Richard Ham of Rado Runs Through saw his game and was like, I want this. But it didn't start there. It started with really the purity of, I just wanted to play.
Mhm.
I wanted to
Yeah.
play and see. Ay, galing naman nung Renegade. Nakagawa sila ng adventure game na solo play, pero ganun kaganda yung pwede mong gawing art, but it's just technically a deck of cards, pero mechanically it does feel like you're delving into a dungeon and bringing in a weapon and upgrading in other things. Paano niya nagawa yun in
Mhm.
52 cards? So yun yung parang nakita ko na I think agree na you can take it purely from creative satisfaction starting point, and then you don't necessarily have to look at the end goal of getting published right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enjoy the process there first.
Yeah, if you like as a kid did homebrew rules and make your own rules for like Monopoly just because you wanted it to be better and more fun, then that's already game design in the start. And I
Mm.
mean, that's
So
already
Freddy,
delving into game design.
you did some homebrew for ano, 'di ba? For Game of the Generals, or ano ba mga hinomebrew
Yeah,
niyo?
we homebrewed Monopoly, Game of the Generals. Nung bata ako, that's what I kept doing because I wasn't happy with the board games. And then I'd get components from Mabuhay Games na ano, and then
Mhm.
make something up totally different, and then add cards na dinodrawing ko lang yung mga monsters. Tapos binibigyan ko ng
Yeah.
stats. So yun yung ginagawa ko nung bata ako eh. Kasi nakokornihan ako dun sa mga board games na meron. So,
Mm.
yung
But
ganun lang. Actually, even I think even yung creativity ng isang dungeon masters, they're making an adventure or a game, probably falls into this also. Yung creativity na yan, you just want to create a game or an experience for people na not necessarily wala kang goal na ibenta, di ba? So, I think it all kind of falls into that category. And
mm,
yun nga, sabi nga ni Ron, paminsan yun yung best uh, na pagmulan eh. Na pagmulan
Mm.
ng idea, and
Mm.
hindi agad yung goal mo eh wala ka pang idea at ang goal mo agad I want to be published,
mhm,
'di
Yeah.
ba?
yeah,
So parang it's like putting the cart before the horse, parang gano'n yung nangyari.
yes,
So yun,
Yeah.
I totally agree that it should be, it's a great creative outlet. It's definitely
Mm.
one of those options that you can take.
yep,
Yeah.
nice.
Tsaka, if you're exploring game design just as a creative outlet, parang lagi kang panalo. I mean, whatever happens, you enjoyed the experience, you enjoyed the craft, you enjoyed the time with your friends, family, and other game designers. Kasi yung pagiging published, hindi yan base sa galing mo or sa experience mo. It's based on market factors, what's hot, what's
That's a
popular.
lot of
So,
options. Yes.
yeah, so if you're thinking of publishing, there's a big chance you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Kasi kahit gaano ka creative, gaano ka magaling ka, possible na your game just doesn't work for the market. And that's just a reality. But if you're just
Yeah.
doing it because you enjoy it, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden, other people enjoy it too. O de, parang benefit na lang yun na, na
Mhm.
may bibili. Diba?
Yeah,
So, yun.
byproduct talaga eh. Parang,
Hmm.
I'm sure, yeah, same with you and I, Nico. We have so many designs, are all, here and there, different levels of prototype. But
Hmm.
some of those, like, that does not need to get published. I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. There, we finish it though. Like you finish the
Hmm.
design, you go through the process of getting it into a finished. This is a finished game, but that doesn't mean that it needs to be published. Like by a publisher, I would
Yeah.
publish it online, give it out for free. Those are
Mhm.
the things that I would do because hey, you know, I I have a stock market game, and it's not something that's there's so many stock market games in the market who may not necessarily convey the same ideas I have, but they're more prettier. They have more bells and whistles. And ang hirap mag-compete sa parang, how do we add? Wala na, okay na yan. But alam ko yung value ng game ko and it's actually being used and people enjoy it. When I was able to find, the correct space for it to be cool.
Yeah.
Sige, Nico,
Um,
we can move on to
okay,
your
so
number.
my number two is a little bit it might sound a little pretentious
Oh, okay.
and philosophical,
No,
metaphysical.
this might
Is
sound
that is that by practicing game design, you will get a better understanding of humanity, of
oh, okay.
people, of human nature, of human behavior.
Ah,
Um, yeah, so
okay.
kaya nag-disclaimer na ako na medyo pretentious to.
No, I just heard this from Jazza just today. The human
Mm.
condition. Yon.
Yeah, the human condition.
Art.
Kasi,
Is the
um,
human condition. And it was just
yeah,
like he was drawing with a map and he swung it twice. It's like, human condition na.
yeah.
But yeah, cool. I get it, I get it.
So,
First
so the
time
reason why, the reason why I say that is because
human.
players, yeah, the
Yeah, go
human
ahead.
nature, human, yeah. So the reason I say that is because the human player, the player is an integral part of the game. The game does not move, doesn't do anything without the player manipulating it, because it is an interactive experience. And so, as you are play testing and seeing your players manipulate the game, and as you see their choices, their decision making, and as you also improve the game to make it more fun, you get to understand a little bit more about just how the human brain works and how it ticks. Because there are a lot of things. That's why we always say you have to test your game. You can't just theory craft and make assumptions on how your players are gonna behave, because they're humans. You can't really assume, and you're gonna see crazy things happen. You're gonna see what you think is super illogical and super just weird things. Like why would they do that? Why would they do those things? But then when you start to delve deeper, you start to see the logic and the reasoning behind the behavior, and just having a better understanding of just why we are like this. So yeah,
Yeah, so
pretentious.
actually you're right. It is pretty much having a better understanding of humanity or what it
Hmm.
is to be human. Um I when I would also mention it before when I would do my talks. You're right. The player is one of the integral components in your game design because there's no game that you can just lay on a table and it will play itself. I mean, a video game could, but in the future, if we are already having sentient AI, but then again, they're now a functional component again.
Hmm.
Going back, wala eh. Hindi naman maglalaro na mag-isa talaga yung board game mo eh. So, kailangan mo ng player.
Hmm.
Whether, at the very least, one. right? At the very least, one. Ano sabi nila, hindi, meron na nga games ngayon, zero players. Yeah, but you need the player to understand the rules and actually,
Yeah.
you know, have the game run itself. Um,
Mm.
but yes, in essence, when you do game design, and you'd be surprised so many times. I was surprised so many times. You did what? Yeah, do that. I mean, yeah, why would you? But minsan, instead of going like, oh, that's not how you're supposed to do it, I would stop myself and go like, why did they do it like that? How did
Mm.
they interpret this wording to
Mm.
that effect?
Mm.
What's going on? And but it having that design experience, you kind of learn to be more understanding and sort of see the human side of it instead of just,
Mm.
oh, they're not following my rules. No, did they understand your rules? What's wrong with your rules? Or are you actually, is the game, the movement of the game is actually implying this behavior? And if so, maybe you're not seeing it, and you just it came about naturally from your game design. Do you want it there or not?
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I personally feel like game design has made me less judgmental of people. Um, because before you'd like sometimes you'd see people do
So
things in
dapat
reality
pala
in real life.
yung mga
Huh?
talagang ano, dapat pala bago nag-election, ano natin 'to, eh, nilabas natin 'to. I'm not sure if it would have worked.
Yeah. I don't know. You kind of see that there people are just people. We follow. We like to think we're really intelligent, and we are, but we still follow our emotions. We still are blinded by our biases, and
Hmm,
that's okay. We're just human, and game design really helps you see it in action. So you
yeah.
kind of like become more understanding and less judgmental. And people are just
Mm.
people. So yeah.
Because game design is like chismis. It's very biased and subjective.
Yes, that's true, that's true.
Yeah.
At least playing
And
games, no?
yeah, I actually put a small sub topic in this number two, which is because I enjoy like because of game design, I realized I enjoy the flow of information, like making user interfaces and stuff like that. So in that very basic sense, like you just see how people um, scan through information and like see which is important to them. So you
Right.
already like just understand a bit about the neurological processes in their brain and like why this is they like this and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
it's just fascinating for me. You get to understand human behavior and nature better just
Yeah,
through game design.
Yeah.
yeah. Even on I understand, there are specific uh, color choices that we would use to specifically evoke certain emotions or
Mm.
certain narratives or certain behaviors. Those are really designed. So just look at Dead of Winter, where mechanically speaking, if you remove the names of the elements the objectives
Mm.
that they need to personally work on, mathematically people will just cooperate mathematically,
Mm.
because it's just, there's no relevance. If there's no personal relevance to the objectives, it's just,
Mm.
you get points if you have X, and then the person needs Y, and there's no personal relevance, so people won't necessarily connect. It won't be as effective as how they've designed it, where, oh, you're stocking up food, and then
Mm.
suddenly, if players intend to play a bit more thematic, they have a personal um, attachment now to their objective, even if they want to help the team and so forth. So those are things that you get to see and design, but not necessarily nga. problema is what if people didn't follow it? For example, um, Spyfall. What if people didn't follow that rule that says, oh, that small text of the role, you're supposed to answer in that context. But if they forgot about that, what happens to the game? And people don't want to act or pretend, and they just answer on their own. Does it break the game? How resilient is your design? So those are the things that are interesting to observe and to see. Kasi you would see people really pretend and act, even on our basic games like plataforma. People would act out if sometimes, and some people are really, here's the facts. This is how things are, that, but somehow the game survived regardless of, and but that one, I did not math that out. Parang it's something that's just emerged. We just observed it through the plays na parang, oh, okay, nag-ebb and flow yung game. Parang like yun yung natural, kasi pag kunyari medyo intense yung topic, ang tendency ng next na round, pipili yung player ng yung nanalo dun sa tense na round, pipili siya ng comedic na topic. Hindi naman to lagi, pero napansin namin ganun siya. Kung intense yung previous round, i-break nila yung ice. Wala naman sa rules yun. Pwede naman to intense lang, simula hanggang dulo. O pwede naman puro kalokohan lang din, simula hanggang dulo. Pero ganun siya. Parang people have this, parang ready na tayo magseryoso. Parang, tara, serious na. Hindi, pagkatapos ng serious na note, papatawan na sila ulit. So yun lang, na parang it's something that's not in the rules, nor did we plan or design it that way, but it just happens naturally because that's how humans prefer to play it. And now it becomes an integral part of the experience. Cool.
Yeah.
Even something as basic as card layout, it's UI, user interface. Yun, ganun lang, di ba? It can come out as something as basic as that. At saka maganda yung term na ginamit ni Sai tungkol sa design, human-centered design. That's a relatively modern term na or phrase na ginagamit ngayon in all designs, I guess. Not just yung mga interfaces, yung mga whatever, di ba? So,
agree. Yung concept ng affordance, how doors,
Yes.
the people, I whenever, and as at the time I learned about this, and now whenever I see a door and I know like nakalagay dyan pull
pull, yeah.
or push, nakalagay push or pull, but at the same time I see two handles on both sides and it's a clear door, my brain just goes, dapat hindi mo na nilagay yun sa kabila kung pull siya, diba? Kasi ayaw mo pull sa kabila eh. Gusto mo pa lang dito lang ang pull kasi bawal sa kabila, siya, hindi siya tutuloy. Ba't mo nilagyan pa? Parang, ang rule nun is dapat if it's really push, don't put a handle. That way they can pull it. So yung concept ng affordance. And what happens now is your brain is so fast, and if the design, the UX is so human-centered, ang understanding of instructions instantaneous. There's it's a door, and there's no handle, I'm pushing it. Ba't walang handle? Wala nang ganun. Wala nang ganun na Diba? You just push it. So yun yung, I think, agree on the design of the user interface. Something that you will definitely get to play around and learn. Pag-play na lang ng words. Saan mo pwesto yung icons mo? Saan mo pwesto yung title mo?
Yun yung how to spot a normal person and a magic player. Kasi kung magic player, baliktad yung fan. Kasi mali yung kasi baliktad yung UI ng Magic eh. Anyway, that's a different topic altogether. Yeah.
Ang casting ko siya nasa kanan eh. di ba?
Yeah, yeah,
Tapos
yeah.
ang ah, ang power toughness nasa kanan din, baba,
Hmm.
right? Tapos ang
Hmm.
pangalan nasa kaliwa.
Yeah.
So,
Magic actually has a bad layout, but iconic na siya eh. You
Mm-hmm.
can't tamper it anymore kasi iconic na siya eh. And people understand now how it's supposed to be. So yeah, you can't change it anymore. Yeah.
ang
Pag binago mo pa, saka magrereklamo yung tao eh.
lalo sila
Yeah.
mawawala na. Lalo sila mawawala.
Actually, diba, I remember Magic, they made this, yung future site, they made this
Mm.
alternate layout.
Yep.
And that was better, objectively better layout. But,
Mm-hmm.
hindi na iconic eh. So, they can't switch to it eh. Kasi may iconic look na yung Magic eh. There's no
Mm-hmm.
way.
Yeah, most modern card games actually use that yung casting cost, or at least the effect reminders are on the left. They're splayed on downwards. Tapos any pertinent information, because mostly nga or majority are right-handed. On display, you can still see the stats somehow on the left, or at least a reminder
Hmm.
of it. Pero yeah, the game I played before, yung kami ni Sir Freddy, yung WoW TCG, ginawa lang, split nila yung power toughness. It's now made more sense, no?
Hmm.
Kasi although importante yung attack, parang yung toughness, at least pwede. Kasi may enough
Hmm.
reminder na yun, ano yung stat dun sa kabila. So, yun. Pero yung casting cost niya sa kanan pa rin. So,
Yeah.
okay lang.
There's a
Kasi
term, there's a term, ah, yeah. But basta there's a term for that eh. Yung design na obsolete na pero dahil iconic na siya, it's still being utilized. There are a few examples of that. Like, so the magic layout is one. The diskette for the save icon is another. Kasi no
Yeah.
one
yes.
uses floppy disk anymore. Another is like yung QWERTY keyboard. Kasi QWERTY keyboard is because of typewriters. Para yung ribbons hindi mag-jam, but actually wala na siyang use. So ayun, yan, you understand a little bit more of how humanity is, na inefficient, parang iconic is better because yun na yung kasanayan ng mga tao. So yeah, stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So
That was your
sige,
number 2.
yeah,
Number 3 na
my
tayo.
number 3, yeah, my number 3, although I think we're going into parang subset na lang, but the number 3 is it's nice for people who um it's good practice for systems thinking, so understanding and thinking things in a non-linear way. So with a lot of mediums, right? Let's say a show or a novel or something like that. The flow is linear. You go from the start and then you go all the way to the end. But with real world problems, most of the time the problem is actually complex because there are many moving parts. So like kunyari, climate change and stuff like that. It's not here's the problem, you go, then there's the solution, and then you fix it. It's not a linear thing.
Right.
When you change one aspect of the problem, it can affect another part, and that will cascade. And so things are way more complicated. And designing games is practice in that, in how to look at the systems,
Right.
how to look at something through a systemic, how to look at a problem as a system. So, yun, I think it's very good practice in just understanding. If kung yung kanina is understanding human nature, the naman is understanding like societal and world issues, because you see how they are actually systemic problems.
Yeah. Agree on design. I have a card game, diba, that is for a simulation of the pandemic situation natin.
Mm.
and breaking things into their smaller components and understanding how the different exploring how the different parts of our society would work, how government interacts with the situation, how
Mm.
the social sector is interacting with the situation, then trying to distill that into a form that you can simulate in a game. That's a good exercise. I mean, it was, cathartic for me to at least be able to express it and see its form. Would that game be published anytime soon? Probably not. Hashtag too
Mm.
soon, right? But kahit nga during, parang, although, it was something like, actually, maganda itong palaro dun sa mga, sa mga leaders kasi at least makita nila kung ano bang possible
Mm.
ways out of the situation. But yun nga once you've broken down your complex problem into the different components, because now you understood, okay, so kasi kailangan ko ng funding, but the funding would also need to, you need the infrastructure, but you also need to now your volunteers and your frontliners to actually go
Mm.
into these cities, go into these streets, and be able to gather and people and administer tests, administer vaccines, and so forth. So yung lahat ng complexity na yun, but you're able to now simulate it, you get to now explore. You get to explore ano bang pwede nga natin gawin? Ano bang paraan natin para natin masolve to? Of course, the
Mm.
strategies that would then come out, people can be playful about it or at least be very serious about it. But those are the things that is interesting as a game designer. You get to explore these, but you're right, very complex systems, and see how you can convey,
Mm.
as a game design, how can you express these complex systems, all of these complex rules, so that when combined is this game design experience.
Yeah, and it's especially in the world today, I think there are a lot of, because of social media and stuff, there are so many issues are oversimplified and nuance is lost, and everyone just wants to like give out hot takes and whatever. And see, being a game designer, you kind of see that a lot things are usually way more complicated than people realize. So
Right.
it's a good way to just ground yourself na parang a lot of real world problems are really not that simple to solve.
Yeah.
Our experience with this is, so the first game balang I did was Resilient Survive and Thrive, which is
Yeah.
a game about climate change and development, and we really saw this in action. Not well, uh, to our players, but because this was really the focus of the game. So in the game, um, you're trying to be the richest barangay by putting up developments and getting development points. But these developments, they utilize the natural resources such of the coral reefs, the forests, and the mangroves in order to generate these points, right? But then, because of climate change, there could be extreme weather events like typhoons, which in turn destroy the developments that you create. So there's this very tough balancing act wherein you're trying to be the most developed community, but if everyone overcompetes and the natural resources are destroyed, then the typhoons come and destroy all of the developments. So when we were doing this game and we had our focus group discussions with the high school students, afterwards, a lot of them entered the session thinking like, well, we want to be rich, we want our communities to be wealthy, but we also want the environment to stay intact. Um, and then after, parang doon lang na-realize na it's so much more complicated than they originally thought. And they actually came out not knowing the answer. Kasi
Mm.
to get rich, you have to utilize natural resources. But if you utilize natural resources too much, then you'll have more catastrophes. So where do you draw the line? How do you balance that? And then people pa are competing. They want to be the richest. So now they don't know anymore what the solution is, but at least they have a better understanding of the world around them.
Yeah. Yes. That is our world is very nuanced.
Hmm.
There's no simple, quick answer. But as a game designer, it's something you can explore. And again, parang katulad nun, you're able to distill it in such a way now players get to experience and gain the same understanding. So something that's really fun about game design. So again, not necessarily, although you guys published, I, you did publish it for schools, right?
Yes.
See Resilient.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So
Well, people can
it not
still buy it on our Shopee, but yeah,
yes. So
mostly
there you go,
it's
guys.
mainly for workshops and schools and advocacies.
Yes. So there,
Yeah,
if
but
you guys
the
are
game is
interested,
surprisingly gamey.
Hmm.
Uh, I played it and I was really surprised na kasi usually pagka advocacy nga na board game, may tendency railroaded yung dahil may message na gustong sabihin,
mm,
railroaded tuloy. But it didn't feel that way when I played the Resilience. So I guess that's really good na maski na meron siyang message na gustong sabihin, hindi naka-railroad yung message.
mm.
Well,
So,
depende na yun sa skill ng designers. Yeah. Yeah.
Yung kailangan kasi yung lesson eh. Pwede naman yun eh. Pwede naman na mag-design ka, tapos
mm,
practically, yun nga, kumbaga canned response or more of like parang statistics. Hey, if you do this, this is
Mm.
what's gonna happen. Or you can make it na ganun. After the game, they they would realize within them, hmm,
Mm.
so ang hirap pala, no? And
Yeah.
when you do that as a
yeah.
designer, it's like, okay, that's it. That was the design idea.
Classic
Yeah.
example
As
na popular, very popular board game, but actually it's really bad. It's a really bad game because it tries to teach something, but the game is very railroaded. Cash flow.
Mm,
Mm.
Cash flow
Yeah.
has, I don't know how much it sold. It's probably ang laki na siguro ng kinita niya mainly because the SRP is too high. But
yes.
Robert
Mm.
Kiyosaki is raking it in with that board game and hanggang ngayon hinahanap pa rin siya. And
Mm.
but it's a really bad game. It has absolutely no replayability because it's trying to teach you a lesson, but the problem is it teaches you in a way na naka-railroad yung game. There's really
Mm.
no decisions being made. There's no critical thinking being made. Talagang it's just like slapping the message right to your face. Sana binasa mo na lang yung libro.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's how I felt after playing that game.
Like, which quadrant are you?
Huh?
Yeah. Which I mean, kung anong quadrant ka na umabot, di ba? Yun yung,
Oh, and it's there's really only one way that game's going to end, eh. 'Di ba?
Mm.
So wala, ano talaga siya? It's really just a bad game. It's it's not even a game. I think it's just masquerading as a game. There's no game there.
it's a seminar tool.
Yeah, it's a
That's how,
seminar tool.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So I did something similar before, di ba, yung sa insurance game naman.
Mm.
But yeah, the idea was, you wanted to convey a message. Pero yun nga, the problem, Nico, I think you probably felt the same with resilience. Pag tama yung design mo, tama, maganda talaga siya. Yung advocacy hindi gets, or at least yung sales ko kunyari, yung insurance game ko, hindi na nila magigets. Kasi nga
Mm.
para it gives you an opportunity to deviate eh. Paano kung ayokong bumili ng insurance? O sige po, try nyo.
Yeah.
Wala akong problema, try nyo. Kaso hindi na yun eh. Hindi, kasi nga, as a tool, you're supposed to have it na you would be able to sell insurance with this. Yes, you would. Parang what I wanted to say is, you would, because whatever client you will get from this, they've learned the value of it. But
Yeah.
hindi, parang may hassle pa, pwedeng pabenta ko na lang naman. So, yun. So, ganun siya eh. Ako, kung similar experience sa'yo na parang mas malaking effort for that catharsis in the end, but feeling ko lang mas
Uh,
valuable lesson doon.
it it depends. Well, we didn't feel that way with resilience, because the way Balang kasi works in terms of advocacy game design is we always have a advocacy partner, our client
Mm,
basically, who narrates all of these goals. And
mm,
with resilience, the goal was really, it wasn't a call to action, but just letting people understand what exactly was happening, because nga people were oversimplifying um, what was happening with climate change. Kasi the goal was really to educate and let people come up with their own decisions on how to deal with it. Um, but like kunyari, and this is a good example. Um, UP told us that they took the game. They usually play it kasi in workshops, um, and they played with regional planners ng, I think, DENR. I don't know what province. I think it may have been, I don't know, maybe Cavite or somewhere. Anyways, so they played the game with these parang mga regional planners. And right after, the head said, "Okay, we're everyone listen to me. We're gonna meet tomorrow." After they played the game, so then they
mm.
met and they revamped all of their planning and all of their like environmental goals. And the reason was because before they played Resilience, before they played the game, um, how government is na sometimes they try to hit milestones and hit goals, and it looks like just a checklist na
Right.
parang, oh, we serve 20% of our forests, ganito, ganito yan. Ganyan yung targeting, diba? And well, companies are also like that sometimes. It's very
Yes.
quantified.
AI.
And because of the game, because of playing Resilience, parang natauhan sila na parang, wait, this is the reasoning and logic behind those numbers. So biglang parang the numbers became reality to them. Na okay, we have to protect the forest because that's what also protects the livelihood and protects us from these climate change disasters and development. So ayun, it um the game wasn't telling them to do that. But because they suddenly got an understanding or were reminded of why they were doing all of this in the first place, yun sila na mismo yung nag-action and they went and did what they wanted to do. So yun, parang I think na I understand din na like nowadays, diba, when you think of marketing, it's always call to action. Like you want to do an activity or a marketing campaign that makes the people do something, right?
Yes.
But um, yun eh, I think that's also wrong because sometimes understanding the value in itself and
Mhm.
you let the people decide what their action is themselves, but just because you've let them understood the topic, that has value in itself.
Yes.
So yun.
Agreed. When I present my games dun sa sales leads, they like perfectly understand it. Oh, okay to. Gets namin, ang laki ng value. And they would even run it. Kaso nga, yun nga eh, when you cross a certain line that now it's just numbers, marketing is going,
Mm.
how, wala na, doon ako nagkakaroon ng disconnect. Like, how do I
Yeah,
convince you that this one would net you more sales in the long run?
yeah.
Because the people now would understand and learn the value of doing things correctly in terms of their investments and so forth. Anyways,
Mm. Yeah,
let's move on to
that's
the
also
football.
yeah, but I just but that's also why just to end that is that's also the difference when you're working with the NGO sector, kasi they're not as focused on the goals and the numbers and stuff like that. It's not measured in profits and in numbers kasi minsan yung outputs nila eh. So
Fair enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a difference. Anyways, okay, but yeah, game design, whew, so deep, such a craft.
Mabot na tayo ng ano,
Sometimes yeah, I
existential.
think yung game, yeah, sometimes I think game design like pwede siyang gawing like curriculum thing, not even for game design itself, but just nga for like if you wanna understand design, if you wanna understand people, na ito na yung tool for teaching stuff. But anyways, sige. Next, so this one is kind of related to the second one. I think game design is a good practice for better listening and empathy. Um, because the act of playtesting, if you're doing it correctly, because a lot of people don't playtest properly, but if you're doing playtesting correctly, it is just practice and practice on listening and empathy. Because when you play testing, most of the time, so you ask people for their thoughts and their feedback, and the thing is, expressing your thoughts and feedback is also a skill. It's not that easy to analyze your emotions, and then once you've analyzed your emotions, you're able to
Articulate what
eloquently,
you know.
yeah, articulate your thoughts and your feelings and understanding. And so often when you play test, your play testers are going to spout a lot of weird stuff. Like they're trying to say what they feel, but they just can't. And it's not their fault and no judgment. It's just feedback is hard. It's not an easy skill. So as a game designer, you have to make up for that with like really good listening, deep listening, and empathy skills, and trying to dig out to get the information that you need. Because at the end, this is for your benefit as a designer. So you want to improve your game, so you have to get the proper information from your playtesters. So you just have to learn the skill and how to ask right questions, how to
Correct.
read body language, how to get the input that you need,
Yeah,
and
and
yeah, you just
learn how
practice the hell
to
out of it.
ask probing questions. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
simply say, "Oh, so how's that? How's the game? Oh, it's good,"
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. You don't, oh, it's all right.
Yeah,
Oh, it didn't work for me, and then
it's good. Okay na.
that's,
Okay, good.
that's yeah, thumbs up.
Pack up na. We're done.
Wala na. You will not be able to figure out what went wrong or what you need to improve in your game design. Because I'm sure as a designer or aspiring designer, before pa lang ng playtest, may ideas ka na parang, itong part na to hindi ko pa sure. Itong part na to parang kailangan ng tweaking pa eh. So may idea ka na, and tama si Nico, when you're playtesting, you're not just teaching the game and then you don't be the showman. I think Sir Freddy nagsasabi din nun eh. Minsan ang ganda ng game experience kasi galing mong teacher na talagang yung experience mo bentang-benta, di ba? Pero
Oo.
actually, roll and move lang pala yung naituro mo. So,
Yeah.
yun lang. Parang wala talagang game design pa doon. Pero yung kwento, yung explanation, kaya minsan din, pag ganun ka, medyo step back ka ng konti. Kasi minsan
Mhm.
mo overpower mo yung game design mo. But,
Yeah.
yun,
True.
being able to see how they are playing, what mistakes they're making, where they are getting confused, uh, why they're taking certain decisions, why do they have a certain preference of this and that, uh, difficult steps, difficult turns, lag time, AP. Those are the things that you would want to observe and look, and then as you note those, you can use those to see ano yung mga pwede mong probing questions. O in the turn, when we start the turn, ano ba yung normally na ginagawa nyo? And then you can maybe ask, dito sa part na to, ano ba yung nakakalito? Ano ba yung hindi pa klaro dun sa rules natin? And by doing so, they might actually be able to express themselves more and tell you what they don't like or don't feel that it's working in the game.
Yeah. And also just like managing the playtesting session, you have to be very aware of the emotional states of your playtesters. If like and their own, like sometimes you have to even take into consideration their own agendas, whether they themselves or not. Like may playtester dyan, he might not know it, but he actually has the agenda to impress everyone. Oh, he knows a lot about games, so he's gonna be saying a lot of terms and stuff like that. Na yun, you don't wanna shame the person if it even if it's derailing the conversation a bit. Um, but you have to be able to navigate that. And then there are people who are the opposite na parang medyo nahihiya kasi they feel like the other playtesters know so much more about games. So sila medyo quiet sila because they feel like anything they say might come out a little foolish. So you have to also make the space comfortable for them so that you can also get their opinion. So ayun, there's a lot of reading the room, reading the people involved, just making sure everyone's comfortable, and yeah, it's really a lot of work.
Reading the room is very important. If your game is no longer working, huwag mo na sila pahirapan. Di ba?
Yes.
Pwede mo cut early kasi may lessons pa rin doon. Kasama yun.
Yeah.
Kasama yun. Eh, naalala ko yung mga first playtest namin ng ng Folded Wishes. Hindi pa siya Folded Wishes. Parang nakita ko parang 2 rounds. Parang nag-loop. Sir, hindi niya ata matatapos. Parang gusto pa nila. Hindi. Parang nakita mo na wala na. May mali doon sa formula ko. Tapos talagang hindi na nila pwedeng tapusin yung game. We could have spent another 30 minutes or an hour. Ang mangyayari lang, matatalo ko sinong unang napagod. Pero wala na talaga, para nagkaroon na ng problema dahil nga, ay, ganun pala yun. So ikaw as a designer, wag mo naman silang pabayaan. Talaga, kaya be present. And okay na, at least nakita na natin. Let's process na what happened. Kasi
So those are
Yeah.
two different phases, I guess, of the playtest. Kasi na-mention din yung playtest na kailangan present ka, tapos meron din yung playtest na kailangan medyo aatras ka. So, I
Yeah.
guess it depends on which phase ka na ng playtesting.
yes.
Yeah. And actually, there's another aspect to it also, is because when you play test a lot as a designer, you also end up play testing a lot. So being the play tester, like, yun, si Sir Freddy, ang dami na niyang nalaro na games na kung sino-sino. And yun, in the same way that the designer has to be a very what's the word? Conscious of the playtesters. If you're already a parang professional playtester, like kunyari sila Sir Freddy, they'll also become very conscious of the designer. Kasi may mga designers, especially pag bago, yung emotional state nila medyo nakakatakot minsan.
Talagang pipiliin mo minsan yung, paano ko ba sasabihin, ulitin na lang.
Or yun, like how
you use the sandwich technique, okay?
Hirap eh. Yeah, there are some.
Sabi ko, wala ka makahanap pang palaman eh. Walang tinapay.
Yeah.
Paano ba to? So gagawin mo na lang siyang open face sandwich, no? Para meron ka na lang. Hindi mo maiipit eh.
Ano talaga, parang sometimes after an unpub before, parang pagod na pagod ako. Parang you have to do so much emotional work, both as a game designer and as a play tester. You're doing a lot of emotional, especially, well, if you're if you're one of the moderators, ganon, there's a lot of emotional work.
Yeah,
so yeah.
Agree. And as a playtester naman, gusto mo makapagbigay kasi talaga ng feedback eh. Sayang din yung baka meron ka ring ma-input na kumbaga naging emotional state mo, naging psychological state mo dun sa paglalaro na crucial pala dun sa problema. So sayang kung hindi mo mabigay. And then, pero pag sinabi, no, it's alright. So,
Mm.
kumbaga, hindi rin enough. So, sabihin mo kung ano yung gumagana. Sabihin mo yung parang nagiging
Mm.
problema for you.
Mm.
So, yun. Cool. Alright.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel na merong mga playtesters na hindi nila kayang i-verbalize yung ano, partly na rin siguro dahil hindi sila familiar with the languages, yung language na
Mm.
ginagamit natin. So, sometimes I think dun papasok yung ability mo magbasa, yun nga, reading
Mm.
people. Kasi some of the playtesters will not be able to verbalize what they're feeling because they're just not familiar with the terms that
Yep.
we usually use yung jargon
Mm.
natin, di ba?
Yep.
So, kaya importante yung pagbasa ng tao.
Mm.
Yes. Agree, agree.
Tsaka you have to be very, and this is a very trick on this. A lot of the jargon that we use in game design um, can also be different between game designers, or sometimes it has a layman use. So you also
Mm.
have to be very aware when a playtester is using a term na parang is different from your own definition or the definition of the other people. Kasi baka they're using the same terms pero iba na pala yung pinag-uusapan nila, which can also happen. Yeah.
Yep. Alright. Last
So
one,
yeah.
Nico. Let's
Last
close it out.
one. This one is the typical closer for something like this. So the number 5 benefit of having exploring game design is the friends you meet along the way. So yun, I mean, when you go into game, mga tawa dito. So when you do game design, you're going to end up meeting like-minded individuals who also enjoy these things. I mean, that's why we have this kind of show. Kasi yung mga like-minded individuals tend to congregate. And there's just a lot of good experiences just hanging around other people, talking about games and meeting up to play games and play testing. Just that in itself is already a big reward. And that's why there are people who go to Unpub and they do as play testers. They don't want to design. They just want to play. They want to be with the crowd. They want to be with their friends. They want to give feedback. And that in itself is already a reward that's worth exploring game design. So if you wanna explore game design but you're not confident as a designer, you have no ideas yet, you just wanna try it out, then just go to a playtest session. Playtesters are always welcome because more often than not, there are more designs than playtesters. So it's always good to just have more people try out the game and give feedback. You're still, exploring game design by being a playtester. But yeah, but also as a designer, just being with other designers is a lot of fun and a big benefit.
I agree. Actually, I mean, I'm just sort of internalizing it now. It's actually really quite hard to publish or design a game solo, even if your
Mm,
game is a solo game. Like it's
mm,
always very community driven because
mm,
it's never an individual activity. You need to,
mm.
in order for you to have a sense of legitimacy that hey, there's a good design here, you need other people to recognize it. So
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
gone through the process of, at the very least, bringing this to game nights, running it with different people, trying it out with other fellow game designers. And the more you are connected to the community, the stronger your tools are for seeing whether your game design works or not. If you're
Mm-hmm.
just running your game design in maybe game nights with your pool of friends, your information might not be as complete. You might just see as a part of it. But if you're a bit more connected to the community, so you get to see both sides. You get to see core gamers playing it. You get to see play testers. You get to see from a designer's perspective. You get to see from a publisher's perspective. There's so many things that only a community can provide. So I think those are the benefits of getting into game design and then connecting to a community like Unpub Philippines, Unpub PH, where you get to see other people's game designs as well and get to contribute back to the community and
Yeah, it's
hopefully make some friends along the way.
yeah, it's really a social craft. I don't
Mm.
know, like, I don't, maybe I mali yung pag-imagine ko, like, there's this stereotype of the creative genius in the basement, like, for art or for novels, and it's just like writing
Mm.
his novel, then suddenly out of nowhere, poof, I have this masterpiece, or like art, suddenly, poof, has this grand painting. And I don't know if that's true, maybe it's not naman talaga. But for games, that really is the farthest, because you really need a community to build your game.
Yeah, I think that's a big difference of it. Like you
Yeah.
could, as an artist, let's say paintings, you would go to galleries. Eventually, you want to showcase your pieces, or you might just really do it for yourself, and then it's your own thing. That is something you can enjoy as is. With game design, medyo mahirap, no? Especially if it's
Yeah.
tabletop.
Mm.
Siguro kung video games, pwede kasi you get to play your game. There's something that will interact with you back. Pero for
Yeah.
for tabletop analog, hindi eh. You're
Yeah.
dependent, you're reliant to the community, and I think that's a good thing that you pointed that out. Na if you design not in a bubble, you don't design with just your friends, you don't design with your yes people. Yeah, it's a good game. Yes, okay
Mm.
to do it. But then you're not really getting the right feedback. Actually, this part doesn't work. Ako, best
Mm.
feedback ko dati sa Folded Wishes is talagang sinabihan ako, I will never play this game again. I hate it.
Mm.
Like, oh, of course, sa akin, talaga, na-training din na rin ako kay Nico, naka-attend ako ng mga ilang unpub. Instead na parang mag-take offense ako, ang naging reaction ko is, nagtanong ako, okay, ano yung mga
Mm.
hindi mo nagustuhan? Yeah, that's alright. Ano yung mga... So I was able to dig a little deeper kung saan siya nahirapan, ano yung naging problema doon sa sa experience niya. But I would have never gotten that correct feedback uh, in terms of what ano talaga yung parang blind spots yung design idea had I not been exposing myself in community.
Mm.
So yeah, cool. Awesome. Actually, Nico, wala akong may dagdag. Kasi kanina, ang dadagdag ko lang dapat ba related dun sa systems mo. Um,
Mm.
so, but yeah, definitely with game design. Uh, so, medyo light lang, quick fire mga idadagdag ko. You learn a lot of tools. Pag
Oh yeah.
pumasok kayo sa design, matututo ka mag-Photoshop. Kung hindi Photoshop, kung anumang tool ang gamit mo, si Sai nga na nakapag-publish ng ano, 'di ba, ng Rogues Tale, ang gamit
Mm.
PowerPoint, 'di ba? So, parang hashtag no excuse. So, matututo ka mag-code, matututo kang gumamit ng mga automation tools, matututo ka
Mm.
na paano mag-interact with the printer, anong ibig sabihin ng CMYK, anong ibig sabihin ng yung mga color palettes na yan. You learn a lot of different sciences. Kasi i-research mo, you wanna do this game design. Okay, parang how do I go about doing a game design about biology if I have zero knowledge about it? It won't be
Mhm.
relevant.
Mhm.
There's no Hindi siya masaya, hindi siya magko-connect kasi the people who would play it, ano to? Where do you get all of this
Mm.
information? Pero if your design is a bit researched, so yun, so you get to learn a lot of neat things that you normally won't be spending time with. So parang two birds in one stone, hitting two birds with one stone. You get to do some creative work, but at the same time, you get to learn new things.
Yep.
PowerPoint supremacy. There you go.
Ay nako, si Sai
Ay,
talaga. Grabe.
gawa ka na ng course sa Udemy. Ha? How to, ay, ha, pwede ka nang gumawa ng ano, na gusto mo bang matutong mag-design ng
Yung
games?
yung title ng yung title ng course mo is ano, paano makasar ng graphic artist. Yeah.
Although hindi
In
ko
terms
kaya
of yung ano,
yung design, pero matagal na
mm,
akong, kahit yung mga banners natin sa, ever since, PowerPoint din ako before, pero ibang level yung nagawa ni Sai.
mm,
Kasi shapes na yung ginitira niya eh. Teka lang, nag-drawing ka na sa loob ng PowerPoint. Buti na lang
Um,
hindi gumawa ng animated ano eh, di ba? Intro, ano, tutorial para sa rogues there. Ay, teka lang. Sai, yun na, hashtag challenge. Rogues there, ano, rules teach. All in PowerPoint. Fully animated with dragon split in fire. So yun. Thank you everyone for joining us. We hope that you guys
oh,
enjoyed that.
si Sir Freddy was saying something. Yes, sir.
Ay, go
Sir,
ahead.
you're saying
Hindi,
something.
wala. I was just reminded of something funny when you were saying about the research. Kasi naalala ko yung experience ko nung Bagani at saka yung
Mm.
MNL48 because I was researching the culture.
Yes.
So nangyari sa akin dun, bigla yung social media feed ko puro artista. Dun sa Bagani. Naging immersed ako sa mundo ng mga kapamilya artists. Tapos sa MNL, biglang nandun naman sa ano bang tawag sa kanila? Idol culture.
Yes.
So it's really interesting. Uh, Even if yung research ko is more on just the culture or the IP and not really on the hindi dun sa game design part, no? But I get to explore a lot of things as well.
Kasama rin naman yun eh. Kasama rin. Kasi nga, the game does not stop within its box. It's the audience, the players that will play it. So I remember for MNL48 when we launched it, and I arrived early. So I saw the fans of MNL48 saw me setting up. Sir, paturo naman kami ng ano ng MNL48. Yes, okay, sige, tara, turo ko sa inyo. I taught them, wow, iba pala ang level ng fans ng MNL48. They're quite close, close knit. So, ang pagkaturo sa kanila, hindi na sila umalis sa lamesa. Lahat ng dumadating na kasunod na fans pa nila, o ikaw naman, umupo, turo namin sa'yo. So, hindi na ako nagturo kasi sila na nagturo sa sarili nila. And they just kept playing it. So, parang, okay, supportive talaga sila. And I've not seen that. Like, na-try ko yung hugot. Halika, turuan kita ng hugot. Parang, alam mo yun, we haven't seen that. You see it in a game night, it's played once, and then gets played again a few months later. Yun. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us once again. This is LarongAtin of the under the Variable Play Network. By the way, save the date, July 23 and 24. We are gonna be part of a massive convention called Conquest, and we will be there. We will have our details very soon, but please do join us. It's gonna be super fun. Lots of things happening, but we will be there somehow. We're just finalizing all of the details, but save the date, July 23 and 24. See you guys there soon. And again, super thank you for joining us. This is LarongAtin. Have fun gaming. Keep
Bye.
trying. Keep designing. Keep having fun
Yeah.
doing game design. Until next time, guys. Di ko na i-outro. Pwede ko naman i-outro, no? Tapos si Bablock.
Baka bigla kung
Outro naman na, no? Di ba? Magbigyan na rin na tayo. Sige.
Hmm.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Okay,
Night,
good
good
night.
night.